when you're trying to get respect, you're trying to set yourself up as a leader. That's hard work. But once you've got it, it's done, and you give it to get it. They don't respect themselves if they're being rude to other people. Don't let them control you. But they can control the fun. When you're playing with them, you always play in their world. Let them control that. Parents want to do all this talking around bad behavior. Huge mistake. Just deal with it. Welcome to the BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at BratBusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into real-world parenting topics and answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, sweetie, what are we going to talk about today?
So today's topic is raising respectful kids.
Okay, kind of a blah topic. I'm sure interesting stuff will come up. Raising respectful, it's just so...
I do enjoy that the topic creation is my idea and kind of a blah topic. If you ask
This
me.
one's boring. You did it again.
Well, that's okay, I guess.
If we have to.
And then cut to you talking for like the next half hour about this
I know
blah
about
topic.
how blah it is. I know, it's just such a broad... There, I should have said broad. That's what I meant, sweetie. I meant broad.
Blah, broad.
Blah, broad. They sound the same.
I know.
They rhyme. Okay.
I think as well, though, we'll touch on the idea of attitude. So maybe let's talk about attitude. Can you address attitude in kids?
Never. What's the point? And when you say respectful, what I'm thinking is kids who respect themselves tend to respect others. They don't respect themselves if they're being rude to other people. So it's more about self-respect than I don't expect respect. You get it organically once you teach children how to have self-discipline and self-respect. There you go. Because I don't like that. You know what? I don't like that term, kids that respect you so much. It's so self-serving. I want my children to, it's like, I don't know, it just sounds more like it's all about you. Whereas I always like to focus on the kids and their self-esteem, their self-respect, their self-discipline. That's why.
Okay.
That's why I thought it was blah.
It's not raising...
I meant broad.
It's not raising respectful kids. It's not raising kids that respect you.
I know, but that's the way I took it. I took it off on my own little spin there. I had fun. Okay, I'm all done. Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll just get right into the questions then.
Sounds good.
Because I don't think we're going to have a lot to talk about in this first little bit.
Well, because it's so blah.
It's going to be like pulling teeth.
That's okay.
Okay, so the first question is Elizabeth from the United States. So 6-year-old and 3-year-old. How do I handle my 6-year-old daughter who bosses my 3-year-old son around, to which he responds by sticking his tongue out at her? He's used to hit her, but that has decreased since using the behavior board. Is this considered attitude and I just need to let it go and continue working on my leadership skills? I had be kind to your sibling on the behavior board for each, which included no sticking out tongue or calling names, but wondered if it's considered attitude, not behavior.
You can't put down be kind. That's like saying be perfect. It's too broad. It's too, what does it even mean? Be kind. I mean, it's too broad. So I didn't say blah, I said broad with that one. Okay, so what I would say is if there's name calling, you can put name calling. The only two things that you can put on there is name calling and swearing, like bad words. So you can put down no bad words or no name calling. You can put that down. And then on the second behavior board, that's the first week. Then the second behavior board, I might put down something like this: quit bossing your little brother around. So, and then I would explain what I mean by that. But you got to figure out, is he being antagonistic? Is he sort of causing her to tell him to get lost? I don't know. Oftentimes the one that the parents are going after is the victim. Is he pestering her and that's why she's getting bossy? You want to figure that out before you put anything like that on a board. Okay? But anyway, yeah, start with the name calling. You can't put be kind on a board. It's too broad. I can't think of a good analogy for that, and I'm lousy at analogies anyway. It's just like saying be good. What does that mean?
Can you explain how putting down no bossing around isn't attitude?
No bossing around, no parenting. It's because it's bossing someone else around is a little bit different from just having an attitude. It's something that you're doing to someone else. An attitude is just what you're doing to yourself. But if she's telling him what to do, quit telling your little brother what to do. You could say that. On one of the boards that I was using not that long ago with a client, we put down, we used it, we had to reframe it a certain way. I can't remember the situation, but it was something like, quit parenting your little sister. So, and because she was being very bossy, she was telling her what to do. She just, was taking charge. But I said, what's interesting about that is the parents weren't leaders. And once they started becoming leaders, the older sister was stopping to do that anyway, because what she was trying to do was manage the younger one's behavior. So once the parents got better at leading, the younger one's behavior got better anyway. And the older ones stopped bossing them around. But you can sort of put that down, but it has to be specific. Stop telling them what to do. Something like that. But it's tricky. It's one of those things I'd kind of have to assess it to know exactly how to word it, but you'd have to figure that out sort of on your own here.
Okay, the next question is Adriana from the United States. I have 4 children, ages 12, 8, 5, and 18 months. Just came across your content on Facebook. I love the strategy of what you're teaching. My question is, how do you start implementing this in real life? My kids already have a chore routine, chores, no tablet Monday to Thursday unless it was earned. My kids aren't bad kids, and most of the time I feel like my ADHD causes me to become overstimulated fast, and with the kids bickering and attitudes, if they say no or if they don't get their own way, it just affects me differently. Sometimes it does feel like I have to yell for them to listen, but if I take a step back, they do listen for the first time a lot.
She has to yell to get them to listen, but if she takes a step back, they listen the first time.
But if I step back, they do listen the first time.
Well, then why are you not stepping back? You've already answered that then. If you just step back and stop being yelling. So I don't quite understand that. Anyway, just check out the behavior board. It's completely free on my website. It explains how to do it and picks. You want to be consistent with all the kids, though. Obviously the 18-month-old isn't on there, but you want to be consistent. So I would say something like this as a rule for all the kids: put all your shoes, jackets, bags away within 10 minutes of arriving home. Something like that for all 3 kids. Start to get stuff like that going so that they get into the behavior board, so they know how it works. And you're on there too. That's what makes it all work. And then the second week, you're going to have 3 behavior boards in 3 weeks. The second behavior board, put something that you want them to stop doing. But you got to figure out, when they're fighting, you got to figure out who's caused it. I go after the one who starts it, not the one who finishes it. I will eventually go after the finisher too, but the one who starts it is my target. So you got to figure out who's causing it, who's causing all the problems. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of 3 kids. I don't know who's causing it. There's so many different directions I could go in with this. It's too overwhelming for me to try and figure out what's going on. But yeah, you got to figure out who's the instigator. A lot of parents go after the retaliator, the one who hits. They're hitting for a reason usually. Kids don't usually hit for no reason. Some of them do, but usually there's a reason. The other ones maybe done something like stuck their tongue out or whispered something that annoys them. So I'd go after that one, not the one who hits. I'd go after the hitter too. I'd say, look, this time I'll give you a free pass because they started it. But next time, you just let it go and let me take care of it. Kids often fight because, the reason is it's a feeling of injustices. And if you're a really just, fair leader, they don't fight. They just don't. Kids don't fight when they have a leader because they know you're in charge. They know that you know how to make things fair and reasonable. So why would they fight?
I do think my brother and I push each other's buttons a little bit, but
not a lot. I remember one time really specifically, you were probably in grade 1. He would have been in grade 6. And they were in the back seat of the car and they were at each other like they were just goofing around, right? And I said, I thought they were fighting. So I pulled over and I got out of the car and they knew right away it was because I thought they were fighting. So I just stood there for a few minutes, didn't say a word. And then I got back in the car and they didn't say anything to each other. And then I realized that's how they said hello. They were poking each other. They were having fun. I didn't realize that. But you really never fought.
Not that I can really remember, no.
There are 2 examples that I use. One was over the sharing of the chocolate cake, and the other one was the Lego, when your brother set it up as a war. Maybe I'll say this. I think the reason why they didn't fight is they knew I knew how to take care of things. Maybe that's it too. But they were both pretty polite kids, like respectful to each other, because I was a leader, right? So when you're a leader, by the way, you're not dealing with bad behavior forever. Once you're a leader, they just stop acting out. They just do. It's just the way it is. So parents say to me, oh, so you always have to discipline your kids. And I said, no. When you're trying to get respect, you're trying to set yourself up as a leader, right? That's hard work. But once you've got it, it's done and you give it to get it. So it's a mutual thing and they feel very respected. They feel very heard. But anyway, I'll tell you the Lego story. This is one of my favorite ones. It was my son's Lego. They would have been about 8 and 3. And my daughter had just started saying no to her brother. Before that, she was his little slave. Go get me that. Go get me that. Well, she idolized him. She did whatever he said. Well, this one day, I remember it clearly. We were in the dining room, my son and my daughter and I, and he said something like, "Oh, give me that on from the table or something." And she said, she stopped for a minute and then she went, "No." It was the first time she'd ever said no to him. My son and I just looked at each other in amazement. She was finding her own, right? So anyway, this is not that long afterwards. And he decided he was going to play Lego with her because she was old enough to play with it now, right? Like with him, it was his Lego. So he decided he was going to set up like a war. So there was two sides, and there was her side and his side. And they were going to set it up in the living room. I was in the family room doing something, and I heard them starting to argue, and they never usually argued. So I said to them, now they knew if I had to get up and deal with it, then the Lego would have been put away, right? So I knew that, and so I said to them from the other room, I said, "Do you want me to put down my cup of tea, stand up, and come in there?" Normally, they both would have said, "No, never mind." But all I heard was, "Yes, please." And that was you. This is my daughter. So I knew he was doing something that she didn't like. So I go in there and I looked at the sides. It was hilarious. I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Do you think this is fair?" And he said, "Yes, it's fair. Yes, it's fair. She has way more men." Yes, she had way more men than he did, but she had all the dorky looking ones, the ones with the red and white striped tops, and they all seemed to be sitting in war, and they had like a little baton or something or a hammer. He had all the Darth Vader looking guys. There weren't very many of them, but he had all the cool looking guys. And they were all standing up with their black capes on. So, and she's just looking at me. The fighting had stopped as soon as they knew Mom was coming in. So he's got his chin up. He's all defensive because he knows he's in the wrong. So I said to him, "What?" And I dragged it out. I love this stuff. So I said, "Wow." I said, "So you really think," and she wasn't saying anything. She was just smiling. I said to him, I said, "You really think this is fair?" And he goes, "Yep. Yeah, she's got way more. You can see that." And I said, "Great. So you really think that's fair? I'll tell you what, switch sides." He went, "No." And then he switched everything around and made it really fair. So they knew, they didn't fight because they knew Mom would come in and fix stuff, right? Either they work it out themselves or Mom's going to come in and fix it. But if they worked it out themselves loudly, I would go in there and toss everything away for the day or whatever.
I know. So we always had to work things out quietly. We'd be like whispering to
They'd
each
be
other.
whispering, yeah, because they knew if I heard them fighting, I'd go in there and take whatever it was away. That was another story, the chocolate cake story. I'll tell you this one. I actually have admitted to the last part. You'll understand this in a minute. Anyway, there was one piece of chocolate cake left, and I've said in a previous episode, I hate cooking. I don't think I was a great cook, and I didn't care about it anyway. I cook with hate. God, I hate it. Anyway, so I made everything from scratch, and because I was a health food nut. So anyway, I made this chocolate cake, and there was one piece left. I didn't have many treats like that very often, so it was a big deal to have a cake in our house. So my kids said, "Can we please have the last piece of cake?" And I said, "Sure, just cut it in half and share it." I said, "Okay." And then I heard them, and my daughter started, "That's not fair. That's not fair." So I go in there, and and I listened to this for a while, though. I listened to this for a while, and then they weren't figuring it out on their own, which was making me mad, and they weren't calling me in. They should have called me in or whisper fighted, right? So anyway, I go in there, and they knew right away. They just saw me coming, and they both just stopped, and I ate both pieces of cake right in front of them. They didn't say a word. Like, "You're fighting? I'm eating all the cake." So anyway, I finished up the cake. And then the next time, then I realized I hadn't taught them how to share, like how to share cake. So what I said is, next time when there's one piece left, whoever cuts, the other one chooses. Okay. So, and the funny thing is, the next time they had a piece of chocolate cake, here's the thing I don't always admit. I made another cake that night. I felt so bad about doing that, but it was a good lesson in the moment. So then I cut a piece out and I said, "Okay, share this piece. What you do, he's older. He'll do the first cut next time you cut." So he cut the piece. Well, I wouldn't let them use the kitchen scale. I said, "No, just do it by eye." So, and then I got a cup of tea and I'm watching the show. He was moving crumbs over, kept looking at it, side-eyeing it, trying to figure out which one was bigger, making sure they were exactly even. She kept looking at me with a smirk on her face. She was only 3. I didn't know what she had in mind. So I thought, why is she smirking at me? So anyway, then he says, oh, he's working up a sweat, just making sure they're even. Then he says, "Okay, choose." You know what she said? She reached for one. She goes, "I'll take the big piece." There was no big piece, but she knew that would drive him nuts. And he went, "Ah." Anyway, then that's how they learned how to share. So
Lots of fun.
it was fun. I had fun. I had fun with my kids. I thought that was a riot.
So maybe just before we move on to the next question, maybe we'll circle back because there's 4 children, 12, 8, 5, and 18 months. How do you recommend parents go about connecting with all of the kids at the same time at this age?
Well, there's lots of things. You basically are going to connect well, you got a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, but you connect in the silly world, like playing charades and stuff like that. All ages can play charades and stuff like that where it's just physical, it's just fun. You can do like a hopping race with the little kids and the 12-year-old. I don't know, they might be a little bit different. Depends on where they're at 12-year-old. A 12-year-old can be very, very mature for a 12-year-old or very not so immature. You know what I mean? They all grow at different rates at that age. It's very hard to peg. Some are 12 going on 18 and some are 12 going on 8. So it's very different. But anyway, yeah, usually games like charades where there's no real competition, but it's just all taking turns having fun, stuff like that. And just go out and get ice cream or whatever, just do stuff as a group. And then with the 12-year-old, you might have to do stuff that's a little bit different, like take them, or you can go to the arcade. Most kids like arcades, bowling, stuff where everyone can connect. But also when you want to connect with your kids, you don't take them places and watch them play. You take them places and you play with them.
Okay. Next question. We have Samantha from Canada. I have 5 children who are 10, 8, 7, 5, and 2 who's almost 3. My 7-year-old daughter has started throwing epic tantrums where she will be extremely defiant, hit, scream, pinch, scratch anyone near her at the time. The tantrums usually stem from her not getting her own way. I need a safe way to stop the tantrums. It's hard to ensure the safety of the other kids in the house when she's doing this.
Well, tantrums don't usually start at 7, so I don't know what has sparked that. I'd have to investigate that one, to be honest. But basically, tantrums I just ignore, and if she is hitting people, I will put that on the board. No hitting, but you got to put something for all the kids. You can't just target one kid for a behavior board. So for her, you put down no hitting, but don't discuss the tantrum. You don't say no tantruming and hitting during a tantrum. You never discuss a tantrum, never discuss attitude. A tantrum is not bad behavior. A tantrum is a loss of emotional control and not getting their own way. But hitting is bad behavior, even during a tantrum. But you don't mention the tantrum, just focus on the hitting. So start there. But I don't know why she would start having tantrums at 7. I don't know. That doesn't add up to me. What sparked it? What's changed? I don't know. You didn't just have a baby even. You had an almost 3-year-old. So I don't know. I don't know. It's an unusual age to start having tantrums, is what I'm saying. So maybe something sparked it. Ask the teacher. Has anything happened at school? A lot of teachers are overworked, so they might not see something, but a lot of them, even if they're overworked, they might have just caught something that, maybe some argument between students, maybe she's being left out. Something might be going on at school that you don't know about. Maybe. I don't know. I'd investigate that.
Okay. The next one is Dora from Austria. So my 9-year-old son said, "It is unfair that dad is not on the behavior board." I agreed with him and said I'm working on it and that his dad told me he's going to watch the boot camp sometime in the near future. I told my son that I'm doing the course to be a better parent. Then he asked me, "But Mom, then you could do his consequence after he yells." I said an immediate no to that because I thought that I would not be the one who would yell and that if I yell, then there's a consequence for me and that would be the end of that discussion. Do you agree, or should I make up for the things that my husband did badly? I don't see why I should.
Absolutely not. And this happens a lot. A lot of husbands don't want to be on the behavior board, but not so much now, I think, because they've seen me more online. This is before I was online as much, so they didn't understand what was going on. But the leadership is fun. And just say, well, dad's missing out. So he maybe one day he'll be on the board, and don't talk about it again, okay? And there's no way you should be doing dad's consequence. How can he have a consequence if he's not on the board? That doesn't even add up. So say, no, we're just not including him in this. This is just mom and kid stuff. Just say, I don't know, maybe one day he'll be on it. You don't need to explain that to your child, by the way. Don't let them rule that conversation.
Okay. The next one is Sunny from Canada. So this isn't the full question as there was a few, but this is just one of them. So 5-year-old and 8-month-old son. 5-year-old yells and talks back a lot. Even when I stay calm, he throws my words back at me and says things like, "You're stupid." How can I respond in a way that helps stop this behavior?
Well, if he's mad and he says you're stupid, I would just go, okay. Like it's just manipulation. Um, mm, well, you could put no name calling or no bad words on the behavior board. I would probably do that for him. Just say no name calling or no bad words. And that's stupid is a bad word in name calling. Okay. So have a consequence for that. But if he keeps going on, I hate you, just go, okay. Like he's just fishing. He's trying to get you hooked. He's trying to manipulate you. He's trying to upset you. Okay. Don't fall into that. Don't let him control you. If he's going on, just ignore it. But I would say, okay. It's better to give an offhand, off the cuff comment like that or whatever. It's better to do that than just completely shut down, because then they might sort of go with the thought, maybe you didn't hear them. But yeah, I'd let them go on a bit, and then I might be looking at them and even nodding. As soon as they're done, I go, okay, I'm going to go and read a book now. It's better to snub them that way. Let them know that, yeah, I heard you, but who cares? It's just manipulation. Don't buy into it. But if he does say stupid, then say, oh, let's go to the board. And then go to the board and say, okay, so you said a bad word. Don't talk about anything else. Parents want to do all this talking around bad behavior. Huge mistake. Just deal with it. It's like if you get pulled over for a speeding ticket, they don't discuss it all. They just say, oh, you sped, and here's your ticket. It's like that. Just a quick business transaction. No emotions. Oh, you said a bad word, so here's the consequence. I'm going to get you to empty the dishwasher now. And I'll give you 15 minutes to do it. Starts now. I hate you. I hate you. 10 minutes left. You're awful. I hate it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just looking out the window. It's all that fishing, trying to pull you in, trying to make you mad. That's what parents keep getting pulled into. Then that means your kids are in charge. Don't let them control you. But they can control the fun. When you're playing with them, you always play in their world. Let them control that. Let them control how you're going to play, where you're going to play, what you're going to do, within reason. But, let them be in charge of the fun. But they can't control the discipline stuff. And, they can't control your emotions.
Okay. The next one is Leanna from Canada. So, boy is 3.5. How to instill politeness to guests, friends that my son already knows. When we have friends over or my son has a friend over, he never wants to say hi or bye or good morning and night. Looks down, stays silent, and we want to just instill politeness towards interactions with others.
Well, he would do that. Now, he could be really, really shy and awkward potentially, but saying goodbye isn't usually a problem. It's hello. They're usually more awkward at the start. So I don't know if he's being rude or not. If he is being rude, I might say, that's kind of a tough one because it can go in the, I don't know what he's doing. And I don't want to tell you the wrong thing because he might just, like if he's being rude about it, then I would put it on the board. I would say, you say goodbye, especially the goodbye, say goodbye to people. But yeah, he could just be shy and awkward. So I don't really want to address that one. I don't want to put that on a board. I don't want to force an awkward, shy kid to have to say something if they're awkward and shy, because that's not something you want to punish. See what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't really want to answer that one. Because what if he is shy and then I come at it like it's being rude and he's doing it on purpose? If you really feel he is, then I would say, okay, well, if you can't say hi or bye, then maybe we won't have a friend over next time. I might say that, but then what are you going to do if it's someone he doesn't care about? So if it's someone that comes over that he doesn't care about and he snubs them too, it's kind of awkward. My gut reaction with that is that maybe he is a little bit shy and awkward, but he's watching you. And if you're a leader, he will start being more polite to people. So set yourself up more as a leader, potentially. That might help. But yeah, he's only 3.5. He could still just be awkward. They're not always good with pleasantries.
Okay, we have one final question. So, Nicole from Australia. My girls are 6 and 8. My 8-year-old yells or screams a lot, and I think it might be because it's the only way she thinks she can be heard. She was a quiet baby, chill and happy. Then my 6-year-old was born and screamed all day from the first 3 months. It really distressed my 8-year-old, and since then, I think she has found her lungs and likes to use them. How do I get through to her that she can be quiet?
Okay. I was just talking to a client about that today, and I said, we don't treat screaming and yelling with kids as a behavioral problem, but we can, if she just has a way of always screaming, I would treat it like whining. And the way I treat whining is I say, when you yell at me like that, when you use that voice, I treat it like an affectation, like vocal fry, all that kind of stuff, whining and yelling. It's all more of a vocal affectation. It's a habit. So she's probably not even aware she's doing it. So I'd say, when you yell at me like that, when your voice is really high, I won't be answering you in future, but I'm going to let you know that you're yelling. I'm going to tug my ear or point to my nose or whatever. So that's my cue to you that you are yelling, and I'm not going to talk to you. But if you ask me nicely in a quieter voice, I will answer you, but the answer may still be no. So you treat it like it's just a habit, an affectation, the way she's speaking, and don't treat it like a bad behavior. Just let her know that you will not be responding to yelling in future, but you're going to let her know she's yelling. So you are kind of responding by touching your nose or whatever symbol or signal you want to use. But then when she does talk nicely, you say, yes. Oh, okay. No, we're not going to do that. So you can still say no. But then if she yells after that, just ignore her again. That's what I would do.
Hey, those were all the questions.
Well, that was pretty easy. Was there any little story that we wanted to tell? Or I think we got was it the last podcast we told the
Got the
story?
giggles out. I will say, you know what? This will come out after. In the last podcast, it was about lessons learned from your mom. And my mom at the end, she goes, so do you have any final things that you'd like to say about grandma? And then she goes, and another thing. And then she talks about my grandma. And then she goes, oh, well, happy parenting. Bye now. Doesn't let me say my final thoughts on grandma. She closed the camera and I go, Mom, do you know what you just did? She goes, what?
In my defense, I have none. What had happened was, there's no reason for that.
You just got distracted.
I got distracted by myself. So what had happened was I'd remembered how I wanted my daughter's I did want her final answer, but then I remembered I wanted to comment on how old my mom and her 2 sisters were when they died. They were all in their 90s. I'd forgotten about that. And then I forgot all about my daughter. So did you want to add anything about what you thought about grandma, what your observations were?
I think it was the thoughtful way that she never left me out.
Yeah, here we go. Saw that one coming. Thanks a lot. She never did.
No, she was just lovely.
You know, I was raised in a family that we all interrupted each other constantly because we were all trying to be funny. And I know I've met people who never interrupt and they apologize when they do. It throws me off because I was raised in a family that if you weren't funny, you were ignored. Basically, you gotta be funny. You gotta talk loud. And then every so often I'll meet someone and they'll be really quiet and then they'll go to say something or I'll be talking and they'll go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm like, what? I'm just so foreign.
I will say, yeah, definitely raised as well. And I think that you raised me in the way of, if there's silence in a conversation, I need to fill it.
Oh, it has to be filled. It's like a void. It's screaming for words. No, we do talk a lot. But that's okay. It doesn't mean that that's the right way to be. It's just our way. So there you go. Okay, yeah, sorry I didn't let you finish there. Whatever.
That's okay. I've done my piece now. You can end the podcast.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again next time. Happy parenting.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out BratBusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit BratBusters.com/disclaimer.